Okay, let's make the two lines now that we're going to need the baseline and the midpoint line. And we'll do that with another technique. We'll do a line with a start point, a direction, and a length. And we're going to do the length as a slider. So I can go ahead and I'll just duplicate this one and rename it. And we'll call this, instead of height now, I'll just call this length. So I should say structure length. And we're going to make two lines. So we'll do the start point. So this is the point at the bottom. So we'll make a start point. We don't have a direction. I don't know if it defaults with a, it's going to need a vector. And we'll need to input a length to it. And that should actually error out. It's just not doing anything because it doesn't have a vector. So let's look for a vector. I think we want a vector in the y direction. So I'm typing in vector and vector y. Whoops. I just lost it. Sorry, vector. Vector y-axis. We'll plug this in and see if that'll do the trick. And there we go. We have now and I'm just going to unwire these. We're not going to be using these for a minute. And I'll pull these out of the way. That was just to show the idea of the, and I'll delete the wrong one that I put in. So now I have a vector, and that can stay here. I guess it's not in the way. I'm trying to avoid clutter here. And we're going to go, so we have our first line. We can make our structure as long as we want it to be now. And I'll go ahead and copy this and paste it. And now our start point is now that top point. And if I connect that, now we have that, a line going out on our second point. And we can adjust our length of our lines there. So now we have that a place to put all of our points on the two, and now we need this NURBS curves, or a little more definition with this line. And that's going to be defined as a curve, so we're going to put 3 points on it. So I'm going to create, I've got to start with, and I want to just add a little more embellishment to that. So I'm going to actually just, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste down a few of these because we're going to make 3 points. Actually, let me rename this one. I'm going to delete that and delete this one. Oops, no, I'll keep this one. Double click on that, and we'll call that, we have start width and start height. And let me fix my typo here. Oops. All right, so we want to be able to adjust the height of that point, and now we have a little bit of an adjustment there, so we can make the wing go up and down, and we can make it go in and out. So with those two established, we're going to make another one that's almost identical to that. So I'm going to copy these and I'll paste it. And we're going to call this the midpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and rename these right away. Mid width. And mid height. And the idea here is we're trying to give the user a lot of flexibility with how they define that. So that's, we've already defined that point, and we'll use that same point again. But now we've got to figure out a new place for that Y point. So that's going to be half of this. We're going to make that a midpoint, so we want it to be half the structure length. So let me go ahead and wire these two together right away. And what's going to happen is obviously this point is over the top of the other point. And I could pull it in though, but it's in the same plane. And that's not useful to us. We need to move halfway through the length. So we need a little code block in here. code block allows us to write a little bit of math. So I'm going to grab the code block tool. I'm right-clicking here to come up with a definition in case I haven't mentioned that before. I'm right-clicking on the string to come up with a search key. And then I can just type a simple thing. I want to go halfway. So I'm going to go x divided by 2. And if I just click off of that, I now can take my length, divide it by 2, and then use that to move that point halfway along the structure. Now let's just rotate around here so we can see what we've got now. Well, I'm not actually rotating in a very pleasant way. Let's try that way. There. So now you can see that that point is hanging out there at the midpoint. And the next point we're going to need is, let me rotate that back again. The next point we're going to need is the last one. Now I always get this hand, and that's it looking, it seems to be an error, but if you click on anything that allows a numeric endpoint, the hand will disappear. So let's copy this down one more time. And we need 2 more of these. These will be ends. And now our y value is actually the full length, so we can just put that in right away. And I think that's hidden behind some of our, so now we have 3 points. And we'll actually just steal this list create over here, because we're going to take those 3 points now and put them together so that we can make a NURBS curve out of it. So we'll take the start, the midpoint, and the end. And then we're going to look for a NURBS curve by point. By points. And we'll put that in there. And there we have now a curvy shape that we can manipulate any way we want. So I'm noticing though that our, oops, I think I haven't wired this up. That's what's going on wrong. I've got the same inputs here, excuse me. I haven't done the input wiring for the N. Let's make sure that I have this right. There we go. So now if I want to pull the mid down and then pull it in, I can. And so I'm good to go here, it looks like. Okay, so let me just get this out of the way and we'll just look at this, what we've created so far again. So now we have all of the lines with our definition for our defined so that we can attach our adaptive component to it. The next thing we need to do is divide it up so that we have some extra points added in, and we'll do that in the next clip.